Hello, everyone. Good evening. Just give me a hi, hello, or anything if I'm audible. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, Ms. Ba. I think some of you are joining. We'll just start. We're actually here, as the description says. We're actually here to discuss about the NATA 2021 July paper that was conducted, the exam that was conducted. We are going to deal with the drawing aptitude based questions. Okay, so we'll have a discussion about those particular topic. Our faculty has already joined, so we'll have a brief discussion about that. Let's wait for, let's say, 1 more minute so that everyone can join, and our faculty will begin the session. Just let's wait for 1 more minute, everyone. Hello, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more students to join so that we can start the session. As mentioned in the description, we will have a brief discussion about the questions which are related to drawing aptitude. So students who are writing the next NATA and all, it would be extremely helpful for them. So we'll be discussing the questions which were asked in the NATA 2021 July paper. So the September 3rd exam for third NATA has already been declared. So there would be some of the students who are preparing for that. We have good amount of time also. So we just wait for other students to join. We'll start by 9:05, just 1 more minute, and after that we'll begin. In the meanwhile, I'll just do a little bit of audio check and all. Vibhu sir, am I audible?
Yes, Arvind, you're audible.
Okay, we'll just wait for 1 more minute, and after that we'll begin, sir.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have a few students who have joined. We'll just start the session now. So let me introduce our faculty, Mr. Vibhu Surendran, an NID alumnus. So he would be taking through this entire session. Over to you, Vibhu sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Suraj. So hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. So as already explained, the intent of today's live is majorly to talk about the previous NATA examination of 2021, which recently happened. And I would be basically talking about topics related to design awareness. Okay, certain topics very specifically to design awareness. I would be discussing on only those topics. I think the interaction would probably be helpful for people who are preparing for the upcoming September-based NATA examination. The core intent is to give you an idea. So those who are not probably not happy with these recent NATA examination, you're planning for upgrading yourself, you're planning to reappear for the coming next version. So this interaction and this discussion probably should be helpful for you. So that is the major intent with which we think Institute have come for this live here. As I explained earlier, I probably might not be looking at the entire topic. which we will be coming up in the coming days, but major intent would be to discuss about topics very specifically related to design awareness. Okay, so if you look around, actually there is a few number of questions which is specifically to design topics like fundamentals of design, elements of design, principles of composition, fundamentals of color theory, and certain topics related to perspective. These are the major topics which and the question related to these are the ones I'm actually intended to look at. So without wasting much of a time, we'll directly go into the topic on the subject, NATA 2021 topic related to design awareness. So we'll start with the very first question. So in the meanwhile, while discussing the questions, if you have any queries, any doubts, you're always welcome to put in your queries over here in the chat, and I would try to I have my device with me, so I will be trying to look into the queries and I will try to respond back on those. Anyway, so let's begin. We'll not waste time. Let's start with the topic. So I don't know how the recent exam went for many of you. I have mixed reactions from many of our students. Some were very quite not happy with the pattern, and a lot of them were having doubts related to the answer which probably they had NATA had published. So even the discussion which I'm going to give you, I don't think all of the answers which NATA has probably published are in line. There are variations or there are differences in thoughts from our end also based on the topic contents which we discussed. So you're going to get a basic idea which were actually the right possible answers also. Even though NATA has published the answers, some of them might not be the correct. So we'll try to look into all those from our own perspective. So let's begin with the first question. The question is number 69. The question was something of this sort. Futura is a font designed by Paul Renner, a German typeface designer in 1927. Identify the 4 most important principles adopted to compose the poster for the Futura font poster. Mark will be, as you know, only if all the correct answers are provided. And it is a question which needs 2 marks. That is, you need to, just a minute, give me a second. Yeah. You need to be attending all the correct options, then only you are going to get the right answer. So the options, the correct answer which you have been given is B, C, D, F. So let's look a bit closer and try to understand this. So if you look at a poster, even during our training and our coaching process, we had exactly given the process through which we have to attempt such a question. So if you look over here, do you think there is a rhythm? Yes, I cannot completely deny there is no rhythm. Yes, it has, but let's keep it there as the question says 4 most important principles. See, when I look at any visual content, there are a lot of visual principles which are possibly there, but our intent should be to identify the most important principle. So rhythm, if you ask me, yes, I don't say it is a very random poster. It has some rhythm in it, but well, let's keep it as a minimal topic. But if you look at parallelism, yes, it's a very, very crucial part in this poster. It's very evident. If you look at this, most of the elements you can see it is parallel, right? Starting from the very font, the font itself is very parallel. You can see the elements, the orange, the black strip which is over there. And even if you look at the text, the way it is aligned with the color, all of them, this one, this. So it's very evident it's a very parallel. There are a lot of parallel elements. So parallelism is definitely an element which is kept in this poster. Next one is this polychromatic? Yes, you know what is monochromatic, you know what is achromatic, and you definitely should be knowing what is polychromatic. Poly means multiple colors. Any poster which has a lot of color in it, it can be considered as polychromatic. And yes, it has a lot of multiple colors, majorly primitive colors like RYB and orange. So yes, this is polychromatic. Does this poster have a sense of direction? See, if you look at any poster, you can consider it has a specific direction if it is either vertical, either horizontal, or if you have a sense of diagonal direction, you can say that poster has direction. Yes, this poster has a lot of elements which is properly organized in the diagonal directions. Hence, this is having the fundamental principle direction also. If you ask me, is this poster minimalistic? Up to some extent, I can say it is not very too much complex, but since there are a lot of elements, a lot of color used, I wouldn't say it is minimalistic. Do you consider, does this has a visual focus? If you ask me, yes, evidently. When you take your eyes out of it and look back into the poster, the first thing which you look at is basically the future of the entire font, right? That is because of the size, not because of the color. There is a very nice visual focus because of the content, the way it is kept. Because all other elements, the strips, the literature, even though there are all a lot of elements, but they are relatively smaller compared to the content of future. So how do you make sure you have a focus? Take your eyes out of an image, look back at it. Are you always looking at a single entity? Then you can say it has focus. Yes, this definitely has focus. No, it does not have any distortion. Neither this is monochromatic. So the things which we probably would have confused with is rhythm, minimalism, and focus, minimalism, but definitely parallelism, polychromatic, direction, and focus is something which is more superior in terms of this poster. So those are the correct answer, B, C, D, F, right? Let's move into the next question. I hope I'm clear with that. Any doubt in this? Please let me know if you have any queries. I will be frequently looking at, so I can see Misbah is there, Daniel. Some of you have probably texted. I'm waiting. If there are any responses, please do comment on your or the questions. If there is queries, I'll try to respond back. Okay. So let's move on to the next session. Next question. See this one. Question number 70. The next one. Identify the four most important visual principles that can be observed for the given painting. Mark same pattern, same process. Only need to identify what are the major. As most important, it is very important. You should know if it is most, then they would have definitely said this, right? So let's look at what are the visual principles they have told about. Datum, unity, flow, polychromatic, contrast, rhythm, similarity, and direction. And the option is B, F, G, H. So is there a datum? I hope you know what is a datum. Datum is a point, a line, or a shape with respect to which other dimensions can be measured. Definitely, it's not having any datum, so it's not to be considered. If you look at unity, yes, this image has unity. Unity is, do you think all the elements and the image is going with one another? The way it is being illustrated, does all the elements are the same theme? Yes, then you can say it is unity, right? For example, if you go into a restaurant which is very theme based, you see everything, the furniture, the wall paintings, the type of dresses the waiters probably would be wearing, they will be all having the same unity, the same theme, right? Yes, so you can look at this image, the type of colors used, the type of dress, the type of elements, the way they are organized, they are all have a wonderful unity in them. If you ask, is there a flow? No, there is a lot of mixed input, so you probably not able to identify it, so keep it there. If you ask polychromatic, yes, there are multiple colors, but majorly the palette is desaturated. So I wouldn't consider polychromatic as a major input. I'll keep aside as an evaluator. As a student, I will not keep that as a major point. I'll keep it aside. Now, if you ask me contrast, yes, I can see certain contrast, but see, how do you create contrast? Contrast can be created basically by two ways, either a light background using a dark image, or dark image using a dark background and a light image. Or you can create contrast by using complementary colors, right? It is neither having complementary colors, or is it having very light background and a very dark image? No, it is somewhere in the mid range. In that sense, I wouldn't keep contrast as a major aspect. I will keep it. It is there, but not great. So let's look into the next one, rhythm. Yes, rhythm is, if you look at all the elements, is it having it is more or less similar to unity, right? It is more or less similar to the unity. There is a way we specifically look at all the contents in the image, right? There is a very specific organized way. You move your eyes from one element to the another. Yes, this image has rhythm. Okay. Now, if you consider similarity, similarity is when the same element is repeated again and again. Right? There are a lot of elements which is repeated, like the characters over here. They are all repeated. They are all almost in the same direction. Yes, you can consider there are a decent amount of similarity. And finally, do it has a sense of direction. If you see, all of them are majorly inclined towards a specific direction, right? More or less. It is all organized in an angle like this. So direction is also possible. See, as I said, this is very relative to, so if I was the person who was probably going for the examination, I might get confused with the contrast, right? Because at times rhythm might not be a very powerful point which need to be taken into consideration. However, rhythm and contrast, it can be a bit confusing between which one to choose. So it is again at the end of the day, like if you go into the previous question, it was very evident. It is 100% sure that the answer should be B, C, D, F. But at times, certain questions of this sort, you might not be very sure. That can be confusing and it is completely left to them. So I'm very sorry for those sort of questions. So here it is a typical example. So maybe there are chances you might lose mark in such options, even though you might be very correct. Next one, yes, this is again a question which is very specifically related to, see, the other two questions were related to composition. This is a question very specifically related to perspective. Now here, this is question number 90. For the given 1-point perspective of the living room, identify which display rack will be replaced in place of X. Frankly speaking, this question, the option which they have given is option number D, which is not correct, which is very evidently not correct. I will try to elaborate on this. There are different ways how we can identify certain inputs. For example, if I'll just go zoom in and try to give you input. For example, if I try to draw a line, how do you know, everybody know who has learned perspective, how to identify the horizon. Basically, if you look at the image, try to extrapolate some of the converging lines. So if I draw this line, it goes somewhere around like that. And if I extrapolate this one goes more or like somewhere around here, right? This is the point where it meets up. So if I try to draw the horizon, this becomes the vanishing point of the image. So you can see every other element should be going towards this vanishing point, right? So that becomes your vanishing point and this becomes your horizon, very evident. So what does that mean? That means if your image, if your deck is above the horizon, then you will be seeing the bottom. If your deck is below the horizon, you will be seeing the top. See, you have a very small area to show the top portion of your deck. So if the D is the option, it should be somewhere here. Right? It should be only within this small narrow window. Rather, there are more better options if it is somewhere above this. So there are major chances that you will be seeing the bottom portion because it will be above your horizon, right? So the right option should be either A or C. It is not B for sure, because if it was in horizon, then you would have seen, if the deck was exactly on horizon, you will neither see the top nor bottom. But since the object is, as you can see, the major portion should be above the horizon line, it should be either A or C. Now let's consider which is the correct option. Now, if you look at this, you can see, if I draw a line like this, your deck, if it comes here, it should also be, this part should be within this line, and this should be somewhere here, right? It should be somewhere like this, right? So it means that look at the relation, the distance, the relation of this and this. In this option C, this is too long with respect to this. And on this, it is somewhat acceptable with respect to this size. So the correct option, and again, you can also see the bottom portion. See, the bottom will be very evidently seen if this is the right option. You can see this and this also. Since it is the bottom view, you will be able to see this also. So the correct option should be actually A, neither not D. But unfortunately, the option which the panel has said is the D, which is not technically the correct option. So we'll move on to the next part, the next question. I hope that part is clear. I'm waiting for queries from your end. Fine. Anyway, I'll move on. So moving on to the next question, which is related to lighting and shadow in terms of three-dimensional composition. The question is, question number 91, identify the correct side elevation with the correct shadow for the given 3D figure. Okay, the direction of the light source is indicated in the figure, so it is very evident. You can see where the light source is and the light is hitting the object. And because of this edge, it's going to cast a shadow on the pillar. We need to identify the shadow casted by this edge on the pillar. See, I'll try to give you an image which helps you to understand this. Let's assume we are going to draw a side view of this pillar viewed from here. So it would be more or less something like this, if I'm not wrong. Correct? This is the way the pillar is going to be seen. Suppose I'm assuming the light source is here. The light is going to hit the object, and from here it is going to cast a shadow like this. Right? So this much area will be under shadow on the pillar. Now, what is actually this? This is a cylindrical surface. Now, on the cylindrical surface, if there is a shadow like this, if I look from the side, how would it look like? Wouldn't be like it be like this? If I project this over here, wouldn't it be like this? So suppose I cut this cylinder along this direction. If I cut it, won't the cylinder be looking like this? So it means this is the shadow which will be casted. So the option should be option number C. That is correct. So the option number C is the correct option for the question number 91. I hope that is clear. Right. Now we'll move on to the next question. That is question number 100. Which from among the following colors is considered as an unemotional detached color? So basically, it is very evident when looking at. So if you have gone in detail into understanding color theory and psychology related with every color, you know every color has certain emotions associated with it. Even though it's not just the color, it's the color plus the form, the context where you're talking about. The color and the context together conveys an emotion, but it is very generically considered that every color has certain emotion. And you also know about a color called as neutral colors, which are majorly devoid of any emotions. We frequently say that. And the best option for that is option number C, gray, which is a neutral color. Black is a color which has emotions like death, evil. On the positive side, it can be very powerful, dominance. Purple is a color related with luxury, richness, knowledge. Blue can be considered as color which is usually associated with masculinity, reliability, right? Trust, loyalty. And on the other side, it can be like cool, depending on the type of blue and the theme where it is used. So the actual color for it, for considering unemotional detached color, gray should be the right option. So the option C is correct. Moving on to the next question, it is a very simple verbal question. The question is, what is color? Options given is used in plants, dyes, inks made by absorbing wavelengths of light and then reflecting the light. Okay, fine, it's good. Option number B is a substance used to give something a particular color. Okay, fine. Option C is pigmentation of the skin, especially as an indication of someone's race. Okay, done. And the next option is the property possessed by an object of producing different sensation in eyes as a result of way the object reflects or emits. That is a very correct option. That is a very, very correct option where you actually see, if you see an object white, it is because the object is reflecting every wavelength from the VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Everything is reflected, hence we combinedly see it as white. So suppose something is black, we are seeing it as black, white. It is because it absorbs all the wavelength and you are devoid of any wavelength, hence we see it as black. We see something as red, maybe it's absorbing all of the wavelength except for the red wavelength, hence we perceive it as red. So the option D is the correct one. Yes, it is correct. Now we will go to the next question. That is about question number 101. Which art movement tried to capture the changes of effect of colors in nature? Okay, so there are usually, if there was a Fauvism as a movement, it could have been a bit confusing, but since it's not there, very evidently the answer is Impressionism. The options are realism, expressionism, impressionism, and surrealism. Realism, it is about making things in an exact copy. Expression is about the emotional aspect which is depicted through illustration. Impressionism is using small, thin strokes and very casual illustration technique to create an artwork. It's an impressionistic technique. Surrealism, I think you probably know, it is a more fairy or very fancy, or not fancy, what a dreamy way of conveying an idea. That is what is surrealism. So this is actually, even in during our sessions, I do remember giving students to input about the artist who is probably behind this. It's actually Claude Monet, as French artist, and I have been talking about illustrations related to him in the sessions. So it's a very famous artist, a French artist who has been doing a lot of works in the area of Impressionism. And this painting is related to Rouen Cathedral, in Rouen Cathedral, which he used to illustrate. He has done a series of painting of the Rouen Cathedral under different seasons. So that is why the changing effect of color in nature, which is being depicted. So impressionism is the correct option. Option number C, very true answer. Moving on to the next question, it is about visual principles. Choose from the option below the composition that best relates to the given image. Now in this is the given image. You need to identify the image which goes with this. See, if you look at this, all of this is the right option should be C. Right? The first thing is, if you look at all the elements, they are all parallel. There is a lot of parallel elements in it. Okay. And you can consider there is a proper way it is organized. It's not just randomly distributed. There is a very specific order. In this, there are certain randomization. It's just being thrown around. Here also there is certain randomization, except for this, where elements are parallel and there is a specific order which they are following to create the pattern. This is climbing up, this is going around. However, still maintaining the concept of parallelity. Neither does this has those principles. So the right option for this is option number C is the correct answer. And moving on to the last but not the least, this is the final content which we wanted to share with you. This is the last question, that is question number 114. Which of the following drawing is a 4-point perspective? Let me tell you frankly, none of the image provided here is actually a 4-point perspective. Okay, this image, the image number 1, is actually a 3-point perspective, very evident in the illustration. It's going there. This is going somewhere here, right? And then this is converging somewhere here. So this is 1, 2, and 3-point perspective. Looking at this one, this is a very typical way of presenting a 5-point perspective. I hope you all know how 5-point perspective works. You have a cylinder, you have vanishing point number 1, 2, 3, 4, and the one at the center becomes the 5-point perspective. Usually, if you avoid using this 5th perspective, it simply becomes 4-point perspective. That is it. So this is actually a 5-point perspective. You can see elements protruding out from the center. So this is 5-point. Same, this and this have no difference. Let me remind you, both of them are actually 5-point perspective. Only thing is, they have not shown the circular grid inside. So if at all this image was drawn in a larger circular grid, it would have come exactly the same way. So if this image would have been using the same circular grid as of the other process, it would have come out the exact same way. So this is none other than 5-point perspective itself. And this is again a 3-point perspective. 1, converging there, 2, somewhere converging there, and 3, it converging down. This is 3-point perspective. Now, let me remind you, every 5-point perspective, as I said, has 4 vanishing points. So it means simply if you neglect the central vanishing point, you can consider a 5-point perspective as something which follows the 4-point perspective also. So in that sense, option B and C can be correct. Both B and C can be correct. However, here only B has been given as the correct option, right? Yes. So this is all about the contents that I wanted to discuss with you. You guys, so I hope you got some basic idea about what are the type of questions which probably usually architecture people who are planning for coming in the preparing for the September, the upcoming NATA preparations. I hope those, if you have gone for this exam, you all have a basic clue about type of questions which can be inquired. And again, even though you might be very correct, we cannot guarantee that the answer probably which they have published might not be very correct, right? So it's again your mark are at stakes at times. So, but let's hope that all the correct options, we try to go for the best option and the best answer as far as our knowledge is concerned, and hope that you get the marks for the same. And yeah, with that, as I said, you will be getting more inputs if you are interested into getting more insights on the topics, the contents related to all this in depth. We are having the upcoming crash in the starting of very soon. So with that, I think I will stop my session. Before that, let me go into Q&A session. If there are any more queries from anyone of you, I expected some interesting questions from your end. Anyone, any queries before I wind up? Any queries from your end? Anything I need to know about? anything I can talk about, anything you want to discuss with me in this platform related to the questions which we are discussed till now? I hope you got all the basic taste about what are the questions. Question number 69, question number 70. Yeah, is there an update? Let me look into this. No, not yet. And question number 90, question number 91, question number 100, question number 99, question number 101 related to, and question number 114. So these were the major questions which we wanted to discuss. I hope the content was informative. And is there any more queries, any doubts from your end, anything you need to ask, or anything you want to know from us? You're always welcome. So I think I feel there are no more queries from anyone out there. Fine, then I think with that, I will end my session. All the very best, guys. We will end the session. Good night.